1,700 miles on the odometer, and so far, no check engine light or limp mode. Let's hope it stays that way. Hey everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to the channel. I hope all you guys are doing really well today. For the first time since October, it is going to be 70 degrees up here in Boston. I finally feel alive. Now I gotta start this video though with a bit of an apology, because it has been about 2 weeks since my last update on the Volkswagen Tiguan, the software updates, and going over the specifics of what this update will do. And also 2 weeks ago, I did come out with a short going over just that, but I'm realizing a lot of you didn't see it, and I'm receiving a lot of comments. I'm receiving DMs and emails from new SEL R-Line Turbo owners dealing with this exact same problem, and they're not aware that a software update is coming down the line. Now, I am finding out new things here, that what we're experiencing with the Volkswagen Tiguan is not specific to us. Now, it is for Volkswagen, but not for the Volkswagen family. I did some digging, and in fact, Audi A5 and Q5 owners are having almost the exact same problem we are. So in today's video, I am going to be answering some questions that you guys have been asking me over the last few weeks about this software update, and go over what we know about this software update more importantly. I think a lot of people are questioning its effectiveness. Is this going to fix the problems? Well, there's some anecdotal evidence out there from another brand in the Volkswagen family that makes me feel a bit more comfortable, while at the same time still having some pessimism regarding the future of our SEL R-Line turbos. But before we dive into all of that, I'm going to go wash my Tiguan for the first time since I got this second one, and enjoy the weather, more importantly. Quick, do I do self-wash or do I do touchless? You know what? I think we're going to do both to get this thing really clean for the start of spring. This would be so much easier if it was ceramic coated. My first one was, and about a couple days later, it got sent back to the dealership. Might consider doing that again for the second one. All right, so let's recap the last 2 weeks to where we are today, because a lot did happen after my last video on the Volkswagen Tiguan, on the software issue, and we now have some confirmation here. So shortly after I posted that video, I went to my local Volkswagen dealership. They told me a TSB has been issued for the 2026 Volkswagen Tiguan SEL R-Line Turbo. This is solely, as I thought before, solely for this particular trim. Not the S, not the SE, not the SE R-Line Black. I also have some confirmation from other Volkswagen techs who have been texting me and messaging me over the last few weeks, telling me the exact same thing. So I think we can say for certain that this is solely an SEL R-Line Turbo problem. What else do we know? We know that this software update is coming in late April, and they have been very consistent on that it will be sometime in the second half of April. Now, this is not going to be confirmed. You're not going to see this everywhere, but I do have Volkswagen techs and Volkswagen service advisors messaging me saying that this software update is in its testing phase. They are testing it on Tiguans right now, and so far, it is working. The Tiguans that do have this check engine light, these are the limp modes, the warning lights, when the software update is applied, they no longer have those issues. So there's some positive news moving in that direction. Pretty much ever since the software update became a topic of discussion, all the news stopped. No one was hearing anything from Volkswagen USA or Volkswagen Canada, and pretty much that's been the end of that. There hasn't been a lot to talk about regarding the Volkswagen Tiguan since 2 weeks ago. Now, this leads me into the speculation surrounding this update in regards to, will it be over the air, or will we have to go back to the dealership and get this done? And unfortunately, it will be the latter. So from my understanding from my dealership, it will be mandatory to come back in and get this software update done. Now, the reason why this is going to be the case is because this software update will take many hours. It could probably take 5 to 8 hours, if not more, which means you will be getting a loaner vehicle, or you'll be taking a lift home when you do drop off your vehicle. It's not going to be an easy fix. This is not going to be an easy software update like just something that's small for say, Bluetooth or wireless Apple CarPlay. This is going to be a very in-depth software update that will take some time. And with that, there will be some backups depending on how large your dealership or how small your dealership is going to be. Now, because of that, because this will be mandatory, most likely it will be a recall. Now, for 5,000 to 10,000 units, it's not a big recall, but we might be getting something in the mail very soon, probably near the end of March or early April, telling us that once this software update is available, we got to go in and get it done, which is pretty standard stuff here. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, we still don't have any updates or specifics as to what this update covers, what it entails. I have heard some things from service advisors that are kind of out there. It's not consistent with what I'm hearing from other Volkswagen Tiguan owners and what they're hearing from their Volkswagen dealerships. So I'm not going to repeat that, but this might actually be somewhat in depth to deal with the sensors, to deal with something that's throwing off with the codes and the errors that we are experiencing here with the SEL R-Line Turbo. Getting into the questions that I have been receiving here regarding this software update, one of them is, do you think this software update is going to fix this problem? A couple of weeks ago, I wouldn't have said yes, but over the last 2 weeks, I have seen some evidence to suggest that actually this might be the fix that we've been waiting for and that this isn't mechanical. And again, you want to hope that it's not mechanical, because if there is something wrong with the turbo, then this vehicle is going to be flawed, and that affects the resale value. We don't want that, especially if you are planning on keeping your SEL R-Line Turbo. We don't want to have the resale values tank overnight. But also, if there was a mechanical flaw with this crossover, there would be a number of people complaining about a faulty turbo, a turbo going, a turbo blowing, and it just hasn't been there. There have been a few people saying that the turbo does need to be replaced, that the dealership told them that even after the software update, the turbo needs to be replaced. There just hasn't been hundreds or thousands of people saying the exact same thing. So that's more of an outlier. And based off of what I've experienced firsthand with my first Tiguan, that after the check engine light cleared and the limp mode cleared, it drove fine. So if it was a turbo problem, it would not be driving fine. So I think it is going to be solely a software update, and I do think this software update is going to be the fix. The next question I have been receiving is, should I continue on with my purchase process for the SEL R-Line Turbo, since this is only going to be a software issue? First off, you guys know my thoughts on all of this. You guys know in the last few videos what I've been saying about the SEL R-Line Turbo. Should you buy out of it? Should you sell it? You guys know that. And that was opinions, not advice. And this is the same thing. This is not advice. This is opinions. You should wait until the end of April, possibly the end of spring or early summer. And the reason why is, one, the SEL R-Line Turbos that are arriving at dealerships right now do not have this software update, which means every single R-Line Turbo that is at the dealership is going to have a check engine light or limp mode pop up eventually. It needs to have this software update. Another reason why you're going to want to wait until May, June, or later is because with this software update, it will most likely have a name. And why is that important? Well, when you go to a dealership and you're looking at buying an SEL R-Line Turbo, you can ask specifically, has this update been applied to this Tiguan? And they'll be able to know. The sales team can't hide from this because you'll be able to see that on the infotainment system. You're going to see the version and what software has been applied on the infotainment system, and maybe you can even do that yourself if the sales team lets you just drive the vehicle on your own. You don't have to worry about having someone next to you. You can dive into the infotainment system and see this, and I'll show you guys that when this software update is applied. And that way, you at least have some reassurance that you're not going to have any of these issues moving forward. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because of Audi. Our good friends at Audi with the A5, Q5, SQ5, and S5, they're having this exact same problem. Now, I'm not going to dive into everything that is being seen on Reddit, or posted on Reddit, I should say, because I'd be here all day. However, I do have a couple posts on ownership group pages on Facebook, and if we removed any specifics towards Audi in these posts, it would sound like Volkswagen Tiguan SEL R-Line Turbo owners. So on this post, it says, I've just formally sent an escalation to Audi Canada demanding a buyback of my 2025 S5 after dealing with numerous issues and the car being at the dealership now for 4 consecutive weeks, plus an additional week in January. And the dealer is unable to provide me with any updates updates around timing of when the car will be returned to me. For context, my car only has 6,000 kilometers and has been in the shop for about 20% of the time since I took delivery in August. Unreal. And then we have some of the comments here that don't really help out with the specifics because there's a lot more to this than what some of these buyers are complaining about. I'm also waiting to hear back from Audi America. My dealership gave up and said we cannot fix the errors on your car. Audi America has not been pleasant to deal with at all. They wanted me to contact the BBB to file a complaint. They won't give me a loaner and they aren't sure if I qualify for a buyback. Car has 6,000 miles, hasn't even had an oil change yet, and has over 30 errors. Now, one thing that I have found out here through Reddit forums for Audi, for the Q5, A5, SQ5, S5 is that there is a software update. So, Audi owners are about a couple of months ahead of us. And from my understanding, there's an update called KD2. The KD2 update for the A5 and Q5 and the B10 generation overall addresses all these software updates. Now, these software updates are a bit more extensive than what we're experiencing as Tiguan owners, because for us, it's a check engine light, and it's also limp mode, and then possibly some safety features as well popping up on the screen. For Audi owners, it's far more extensive. They're getting over 30 error codes, but also they're not complaining about limp mode per se. They're complaining about limited power, but not limp mode, but they are getting check engine light. So, sounding familiar? It definitely sounds familiar to me. Now, I have been doing a bit more in-depth reading on all of this, and it sounds like there's another update coming called the KD3. So, there actually hasn't been a 100% fix software-wise for Audi owners. So they're coming out with another one in like a few months that should address everything. Now, again, this leads me into why I'm positive on all of this and why maybe I'm a bit pessimistic. Now, the positive side of me says that, okay, this KD2 software update for the B10 generation for the A5 and Q5 seems to be working. However, what Audi owners are hearing from their dealerships is that it has a 90% success rate, which means there's a 10% chance you're still going to have problems if you own an A5 or a Q5. So from my perspective, I see, okay, there has been a software update. People are not complaining as much, but there's still that one person that says, all right, I'm still getting messages on my screen. Now, this can be attributed to two different things here, because one could be that the software update didn't fix that specific vehicle. But all these months later, after that KD2 software update, people are saying that their A5 and Q5 they just purchased didn't get this software update. So this leads me to believe that in May, in June, in July, there are still going to be people messaging me saying the exact same thing. I have a check engine light. I have limp mode. What am I going to do? You got to go to the dealership and have this update applied. Volkswagen dealerships, from the sounds of it, or Audi dealerships from the sounds of it, I shouldn't be preemptive in that statement. So it sounds like Audi dealerships are not applying this software update to vehicles that are arriving at the dealership. So this will be something that a lot of you are going to be very proactive about, because when you go to your Volkswagen dealership, make sure this software update is applied. But also I want to make this very clear. There is no guarantee that this software update is going to fix this problem. However, though, with all this being said, I feel a bit more confident that it's not a mechanical problem. That if I was to go on the longer road trips that I have planned in June, some road trips I want to do very soon once it gets a bit warmer, I'm not going to be on the side of the road with a check engine light or limp mode, or I'm not going to be dealing with something that needs to be fixed and repaired. It's going to be software related. So I feel better in that regard, and I feel a bit more confident in telling you guys that it is going to be a software issue and that it's not a turbo problem. It's just that whatever's throwing off the sensors is making it seem as though that a turbo does need to be replaced. And now, a couple months later, we're finding out that that isn't going to be the case at all. Unfortunately, though, to tie everything together here for this video, it's a waiting game. We're still going to be waiting 4 to 6 weeks here. And it might take even longer once we get these software updates applied and installed to our crossovers to see if it actually is going to be a fix. And we really don't know how long that will take, because it could be, 2-3 weeks down the road check engine light starts popping up or limp mode starts popping up. We really don't know. But from what I hear from Audi owners, their software update seemed to have worked. So let's just hope that we're following that same path here. But I still think that if you're looking at getting rid of this vehicle, do so now before that update is applied, because you'll have an easier time buying out of it, selling it, lemon lawing it, because once we get that software update here in April, it might not be that easy. Again, that is not advice, that's just an opinion, and that's the way we're going to move forward on that one. So stay tuned for that software update. Again, that will be coming in probably 4 to 6 weeks, and I'll show you guys how that's going to be applied and what that looks like on your screen, because there should be a version code here on your infotainment system that shows you that. So we'll dive into that, and also I'll tell you what I've been experiencing with that software update by the end of April. Guys, once again, thanks so much for tuning in here and sticking with this. A lot of you guys still own your SEL R-Line turbos despite all of this, and I do know that some Volkswagen dealerships have released the R-Line turbos back to their customers. So we at least have some confirmation on all of that. Also, one more thing I want to point out too, if you do have a check engine light and limp mode and Volkswagen dealers can't clear it, they are not allowed to give you back your vehicle. So that's one thing to keep in mind here if you are still watching this video. But guys, once again, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.